It'll be Carson Wentz at least for one more game. Details on the Vikings' plans for the Chargers, plus one of the best football teams in our area keeps on winning. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota. Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Happy Hump Day, everybody. We're halfway home edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning in Sioux Falls. KNBN in Western South Dakota. And Inforum.com. 22nd day of October is here. We're halfway through the week. We're on the doorstep of a Vikings game day, which makes the week all sorts of weird. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the program. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. Hope you're having a great start to your Wednesday. Looks like the wind is out of here after our high school football teams had to endure it yesterday with the opening day of Minnesota football playoffs around the state as teams advanced on to play another game on Saturday. I'm not going to waste any more time on it. That's the way it works. But that was not probably the easiest night for playing football around the area. We're going to check in on one of our local teams coming up later on in our show. Is now we're in that stretch run. Like it's here. Like we've been talking about it, getting ready for the season. Now we're in the postseason. Like a week from tomorrow, we got games at the Fargo Dome. We have 4 games a week from tomorrow, then 5 games on Halloween, which we're going to have all those games for you on TV again. Looking forward to that. We'll give you all the details on that coming up next week as we find out who's making it to the Dome. So we've reached that part of the calendar. Mentioned the Vikes have made a decision. We'll get to that. I guess it's not really that surprising considering the alternative where they were at with their quarterback situation for their game with the Chargers. The intriguing thing to me is now what happens beyond the game tomorrow night in L.A. after this mini bye. And then they play November the 2nd against the Lions of where they go from there. That is the real question mark moving ahead for the team in purple. We're also going to chat, obviously, we're in the middle of the week. Bison Jack. I have, and this is not bragging or humble bragging or whatever, I've had more interview requests for me this week, which I don't know who wants to talk to me, about this football game that I can remember. And friendly, so we're going to chat about the football game coming up here on Saturday night. As you heard from Tim Polasek yesterday during his press conference on what this matchup entails. We've got our Bison Media Zone show with Kolpak and I coming up later today in about an hour and a half on the matchup and the intrigue. Who's playing quarterback? Dan Jackson said yesterday in his presser that Chase Mason is day-to-day, that he's going to do everything he can to play. Again, I was asked last night about it. I would be stunned if he doesn't play, frankly. That there's just no earthly way guy from South Dakota is, if he has an opportunity to play, that he's going to play in the football game. So we'll get into that coming up later on in the show. Before we get rolling, last night, because the Wolves play their opener tonight with the Blazers, I spent actually a good amount of my evening watching the Thunder and the Rockets because that was the first game. NBC was back doing basketball, and we chatted about it yesterday on what to watch, and they brought out all the heavy hitters that they're going to have on their broadcast. Mike Tirico is doing play-by-play, that's a slam dunk, and there's no pun intended there, with Jamal Crawford and Reggie Miller, who they brought over from TNT. You had Maria Taylor there, who's the main host who does Sunday Night Football for them as well. You had Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter was there, Tracy McGrady, mix of people that have been on ESPN or Turner over the last little bit. Everyone's going to fixate on the fact that the song is back, the John Tesh song, which, again, as I talked about yesterday, there's something about it. You hum it, and it immediately, at least for me, takes you back. But then during the game, either at halftime and also before, they had a segment with Michael Jordan. And we don't ever hear from Michael Jordan anymore. So at least for me, seeing that last night, that was fantastic. It was 3 minutes with him and Mike Tirico talking about like he hasn't even shot a basketball in forever. That was excellent. If they're going to keep doing that, it's a different take on having the, tremendous former player as a studio analyst. Like you're getting ready for the World Series beginning on Friday on Fox, and Fox is known for going for the heavy hitters. Obviously, they have Brady on football. They've got Derek Jeter and A-Rod and Big Papi doing baseball. They don't mess around with that. But this is a different kind of role that they went with, NBC did with Michael Jordan. And it was different. I liked it. Now, could I see him in a studio role? I don't know. I would much rather actually have him at the game analyzing. Now, that would be a hoot. I don't think he's going to do that, but it was a different take of what the NBA being back last night. And tonight's a big one. For you basketball rubes out there or TV rubes like myself, ESPN starts its coverage tonight, which means Inside the NBA is back tonight and for the first time on ESPN. It's going to be airing after the second game of their doubleheader tonight. And way too many people have probably written about it, freaked out about it. The most iconic sports studio show ever. And now moving over to ESPN. So it's going to be on tonight after the Spurs and the Mavericks around 11 o'clock. And if you look at your guide now, they've got it listed for an hour and then into SportsCenter afterwards. That was the big contentious point in the offseason was how long were they going to let him go? Because on Turner, they could go forever. And what are you going to preempt? Another hour of NCIS or whatever, Charmed, whatever is on TNT. ESPN, they always want to get you to SportsCenter. Like, we got to go. As soon as the game's done, we're sending you to SportsCenter. So it has all the makings of, it's going to base out of Atlanta like it always has with Charles, Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie. And instead of being on TNT, it's going to be on ESPN tonight. It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. So just for the TV sports nerds like myself who've consumed it the way we have for 20 years, it was neat to see NBA and NBC back. Amazon has its first games coming up. The Wolves are going to be on it on Friday night with Kevin Harlan. I mean, it's going to be tremendous. The Wolves are playing the Lakers on Friday with Kevin Harlan calling the game. It'll feel like old times, except on a new platform coming up later this week. I wanted to get that out before we got going today. All right, to the news at hand. Minnesota Vikings play tomorrow night against the Chargers. Carson Wentz is going to be the guy again. Kevin O'Connell said yesterday that Wentz will start at quarterback, which I guess there's no real surprise here. I don't think there was an option. They discussed J.J. McCarthy going through a full warm-up, I guess, before practice on Monday, and he's just not physically able, is what O'Connell's words were yesterday. So it'll be Wentz again for the fifth straight game for this game against the Chargers. Now, as I mentioned off the top, the question I have is this it? Because after this game, no matter if you win or lose, and the Chargers are coming in off a terrible performance, frankly. They got blasted by the Colts last week. What happens next for Minnesota? If they lose this game, they're at 3-4, and they're already in last in the NFC North. Where they go from here in terms of their quarterback, if they got to find out if JJ is their guy or not. The Giants are taking their lumps, but Jackson Dart has already shown them that they got a quarterback. I mean, regardless of how he played in the fourth quarter, that game in Denver on Sunday, he played great for the first 3+ quarters. And yeah, they lost the game, but they've got something to build with there. The Vikings, all we've seen is 8 quarters of football, 7 of them bad out of J.J. McCarthy. That's what they need to figure out between now and the rest of the season, in my mind. Because the division, the Bears are better. Obviously, we've seen that. Chicago's won 4 in a row. The Lions are what they are. The Packers are in first. And you can begrudge that They didn't sign Daniel Jones, and look what he's doing with the Colts. They didn't sign Sam Darnold. See what he's doing with the Seahawks. This was the move they made. I would say both of their first-round picks from 2024 have some work to do because it's not all on JJ. Dallas Turner has got to be a more than a once-in-a-flash kind of player because that's all he's done so far. For the guy they've traded up to get the 17th overall pick, it's not been great so far. They did open up the practice window for Aaron Jones, so he could play tomorrow night. The big question, though, on the offensive line, Brian O'Neill has not practiced the last 2 days. They're starting right tackle, and for Christian Darrisaw, he's going back to the same stadium where, of course, he blew out his ACL on a Thursday night last year against the Rams. So, again, JJ's going to be the number 3. This is what O'Connell said yesterday. It's been in some of the movements, the reactionary movements within the pocket, being able to use his athleticism to protect himself in the pocket, and then he's able to work through progressions. I feel really good about the work we've done on his foundation of his fundamentals. That's been pretty evident through the work that he's done, and he's really made a commitment to doing that. It's really just about, hey, there's maybe a guy that gets edged, and I don't really know the movement I'm going to have to make. That's where he still feels it. He doesn't have the ability to do that pain-free. So that's the big question mark. You put Carson out there. You saw the whole Wentz experience on Sunday against Philadelphia. That give him one more start, and then you turn the reins over to McCarthy and let it roll whatever happens the rest of the way. If it's 7-10, if it's 10-7, if it's 6-11, what you got to know. You got to figure out what's going on there. So that's tomorrow night in L.A. against the Chargers. Speaking of midweek football, we had it last night. Now, again, this show is not going to be your home for Western Kentucky, Louisiana Tech highlights, but when you have a game go overtime and decided on a 2-point conversion at the very end, then we got to show it the next day. Yes, Western Kentucky, La Tech, thriller last night in Conference USA football, all in front of about, you see the crowd, 60 fans. The game's tied at 20. Late in the fourth quarter, Western Kentucky tried a field goal. It's blocked. So La Tech now setting up for a chance, and their field goal gets blocked. John Chance. And the game is going to overtime. La Tech scored on its first possession. So Western Kentucky's down. George Hart III powers his way in for the touchdown. It's 27-26. I love this decision. Western Kentucky says, we're going to go for the win. Katie Hutchinson in the end zone gets it. The Toppers, the Hilltoppers win it. 28-27 in overtime. Western Kentucky break them up. They're 6-2 on the season. I will say this. I totally applaud Western for going for it. Too many times that coaches overthink this, kick the extra point, and go to double overtime when you have to go for 2, right? That's the rule. Why not? You know what? We're going to go. We got a play dialed up. We think that they can't stop us on. We're going to go for the win. I love that strategy because too often than not, coaches way overthink it. Like, we're going to see what happens and try our luck in double overtime when then you have to go for 2. That was pretty bold strategy there. Nothing like a thriller on a Tuesday night in Louisiana between those two teams. We got more CUSA football tonight, including Mo State. We'll feature that coming up later on in the show. We got a fun guest lineup here for you on this Wednesday morning. It's brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy, Drew Trafton, I don't know if there's any fun for him after what happened on Monday night in Toronto. We'll unpack the Mariners' defeat in Game 7 to the Blue Jays. That's coming up in just a few minutes. At 9:35, we'll be joined by South Dakota State play-by-play voice Tyler Merriam. Will join us. He's doing TV now. He's crossed over to the dark side from radio to television. He'll give us the lowdown on the Jackrabbits and getting ready for the marker game on Saturday night in Brookings, South Dakota. And at 10 o'clock, Carson Yaggie will join us, Breckenridge head football coach. The Cowboys are 9-0 in 6A football. They are on to the semifinals. They got a date with OTC coming up on Saturday. The winner of that game goes to the Fargo Dome next week. We'll talk with Carson about how impressive the Cowboys have been in 2025. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. And, of course, I mentioned our Bison Media Zone show coming up at 10:30 as well. So a packed Wednesday show is ready to rock and roll. We'll take our first break. We come back. The Mariners' defeat to the Blue Jays and some other FCS stuff with our guy Drew. That's coming up on the other side of the break. Hot Mike back right after this.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
All right. I always appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
Today,
you're welcome.
I know is not easy. Even in, we're 36 to 40 hours removed from Monday night's loss. I'm watching the game, and there are a ton of people I know are just. It's Game 7. The Lions game and the Bucs was okay, but it's Game 7. I was in on that. I will freely admit I was watching the baseball game, and the Mariners are up 3-1.
Yeah.
Julio hits a home run. Raleigh hits a home run.
Dominating they were dictating the play in that game.
Brian Wu is pitching, who hasn't pitched since early September, who's one of their dudes. So I'm like, all right.
He's their ace.
Everything is trending in this direction.
Yeah.
And I would say, to me, some questionable decisions by Dan Wilson on who pitched later in that game. Because the Mariners' best pitcher didn't pitch in the 7th inning.
No.
Reliever, I should say. Best reliever wasn't in the game.
Yeah. Munez.
Yes.
They didn't bring him in. And Edward Bizzardo had been kind of their guy all year. Like he'd been the guy who, even in the postseason, like in the Tigers series and earlier in the Blue Jays series, a lot of the relievers got lit up, and Bizzardo didn't. And so I understand it, but in my mind, it's like, okay, so I agree with you. Like Dan Wilson made a huge error there. You're going up against the top of the Blue Jays lineup. It's like, put in your best guy there. Have him go get 3 outs or get 6 outs and then put in Bizzardo. Is it unconventional for closing? Sure.
Right.
But it's Game 7 of the ALCS. Yeah, totally. And it was a gut punch for sure. Yeah. And especially it being George Springer doing it, because
I know
for Mariners fans,
Astros
it's like that having that guy who was on that roster for the Houston Astros be the one to end your season. That was bitter.
I would say, though, of all the former Astros, he's the most likable of the ones. I mean, Altuve's obviously still there. Correa obviously has his history in the upper Midwest now. To me, Springer seemed not Teflon to the garbage can stuff, but he seemed to have the least stuck to him, if you know what I mean,
sure.
from the cheating stuff that went down.
I mean,
there. Altuve will never live it down.
I mean,
obviously.
he got booed pretty hard, and does every time he's in.
And he should.
AL West Stadium.
Right. That comes with the territory, but
and so that was tough. But I got over that pretty quick. I think there's about a 20-minute period where I was down in the dumps.
I don't blame you, man. That is gut punch.
There's also a part of your being a fan of a franchise like that. Vikings fans will get it. You just you close yourself off to it. You go numb real fast because it's same old, same old. The thing that really set into my bones, the grief part of it, is the idea that I heard a lot of people, big baseball analysts, say, "Oh, this is just the beginning for the Seattle Mariners because of their farm system, and they'll be back here again." And it's like, no, it's like after 2001, that team won 116 games, and boy, they look good for the next couple of years there, and they didn't get back. It's like it's baseball, and you don't know what your prospects are going to do. It's like this could be it. This could be the last time. The Mariners have made the postseason 1 out of every 10 years they've existed. So don't tell me that this team is going to get back there.
That's the yes, and that is the tough part
so
about
tough.
it, to be this close that you're 6 defensive or 9 defensive outs from making
it.
They
were 8 outs away
8 outs from the World Series.
And then Wu gave up a walk, and then he gave up a hit, and then that was it. It was like that one swing of the bat, you're done. And it's like, man, that happened fast. And for a marathon to happen, that the baseball season's such a marathon, and It's like it hurts differently than football.
No doubt.
It hurts
There's
differently
no doubt
than
about
a
it.
lot of sports where it's just like you invested so much time to get there, and
Yep.
you know, I mean, you know, and so it's that's tough. That's tough.
It's that's the hard part. And yes, there's like, you know, my son came up to me the day after the Mets lost last year. Well, Dad, there's next year. I'm like, he doesn't know, and I can't tell him that I've been doing this for 45 years, and they, you know, I've seen it once. You haven't even seen it, and that's the thing I think that saw most average fans glom onto it was that, hey, they'd never been. That'd be really neat for them to be there against the powerhouse that is the Dodgers and have that as a matchup. And it doesn't. I think this is a fine World Series matchup. Toronto's good. The Dodgers obviously are the overwhelming favorite,
but it's 1 versus 5 in payroll or 2 versus 5, you know, like depending on what you look at. And it's like, that's not, you know, I mean, if that's what baseball is, I mean,
that's
what
baseball is.
That's why we're staring down a lockout. That's why we're staring down which could kill baseball. You know, I mean, this isn't 1994. Like the sports share, like, I mean, you saw ESPN buy up everything they could possibly buy up today with the NFL. And NBC is now latched onto the NBA, like you were talking about. It's like baseball doesn't have, when your playoff games are getting put on FS2, like
not great
already, and you're staring down a season-long lockout potentially. Like, good luck, you know, getting back. Like, ask the NHL how that went when they were on the Outdoor Network.
Exactly right.
You know, it's like you're not surviving that. Like that's you better figure it out.
I'm interested. You know, the ratings last year were great because it was the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Yeah,
you don't know about Dodgers Blue Jays, how that's going to resonate with the average
hard to say.
Fan.
And I mean, it's like I think so many people just assume now that the Dodgers are going to steamroll. You know, and I could look at it like
hard not to think.
Hey,
that,
you know the Toronto Blue Jays don't strike out. They're gonna be there, but their bullpen's awful. You know, it's like you get to and it's like, can they replicate that? You know, like, could the starters have that same level of success against a Dodgers level lineup? I don't know.
I would hope that they promote that it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a fabulous player that I don't know how many people know
so good
who
in the
he is,
postseason.
right? And everyone knows who Ohtani is, but that
I mean,
Blue Jays have a stud
have
too.
those two guys in the World Series.
Right.
Like
That'd be fun.
You should enjoy that if you're a baseball fan.
All right, now from the ridiculous or the sublime to the ridiculous, because Sam Herder and I, we touched a little bit, but I wanted to rip the Band-Aid off because this affects your favorite team. So I'm going to set up the backstory before we play the clip. Obviously, Grizz are playing Sac State Friday night, ESPN2 in Sacramento.
Under the lights.
Big game there. It's a big game for Montana way more than it is Sac State. Sac State is what they are. I don't believe they're a playoff team. They're not relevant to the national picture conversation. Outside of the fact that their president is continually put his foot in his mouth, whether it be they're going to be an FBS team in 2026 or we're going to play FBS teams and we're going at whatever. Halftime of their game, which they struggle to beat Northern Colorado on Saturday. Northern Colorado is better.
They're okay.
We've seen that.
They're not the basement dwellers anymore. That's for sure.
Brody, go ahead. This is what he said Saturday night.
Game against Montana. What a showdown that's going to be.
Yeah, no, that's going to be great. I mean, we're looking forward to playing the Montana Pandas. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Montana Grizzlies. I think that's their name, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they're certainly a great team, but they haven't played nobody this season. I mean, let's just be real, right?
You like to stir it up, don't you?
And I like to stir it up, but what, I mean, in all fairness, we all appreciate Sacred Heart, but that was their last game, and they didn't do very good against them. So how are they going to come here into our territory on the Hornet turf and play us on a night that we're going to have some of our biggest turnout ever? You know, I'm looking forward to that game. I feel bad for their fans, you know, that have to experience a loss like that on the road, but, you know, we'll see.
Calling your shot. I like.
Okay, so calling them and Houck was on fire.
Yeah.
He didn't even let his team address it. He addressed it. He called the president, I believe, a joke.
A clown.
Clown.
He said he's kind of a clown.
I would not disagree with Bobby Houck in that assessment. This is not the athletic director. This isn't the head football coach. This is the president of the school.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You got to be better than that. I get it, but come on.
You have ammo there. Like, he could have said, we've beaten them 3 of the last 4 times we've played.
Yep.
That's true.
Okay.
He could have said we've beaten them, I think, twice in a row at home. That's true. say they haven't played anybody, I think North Dakota would disagree with that. I mean, they're pretty good last time I checked. They're climbing the rankings pretty far.
They're a top 5 team in my mind.
I wouldn't want to play those guys again. So it was interesting what he chose. And then he doubled down yesterday because Houck did say, he's kind of a clown. And I mean, you could see it in their eyes. Like the Montana Grizzlies is not a team or fan base that I'd poke, I guess. No. Like you're gonna get some smoke if you do that. And if you want to give them more ammo heading into Friday night, I'm all for it. Like keep talking, dude, because like that's good. I mean, I like it when my Grizzlies are a little bit revved up.
And Sac State is beaten. Sac State beat Mercyhurst.
Yeah.
And they gave up 28 to Mercyhurst. They beat Central Arkansas, who's bad this year. Mm-hmm. They beat Weber, who's not very good. Yeah. And then barely beat Northern Colorado. Yeah. They lost to the Jacks. They got humbled there.
Yeah.
They lost to a bad Nevada team. Mm-hmm. Nevada's not very good in the FBS, and they lost to Cal Poly.
Yeah. Well, in Montana does have the track record of going out there and laying an egg, but I think I mean it's like if you were looking for a letdown game there or like that, it's not happening now. And then he said yesterday, the thing that I loved was he's like, Montana doesn't travel well.
Yeah, what?
Which is like, that's like okay.
What?
I mean, it's like you're gonna bring down the Thunder, like you're gonna like flights from Missoula to Sacramento aren't cheap, but I think that you're gonna get a lot of people in Montana. I mean, it's not hunting season yet there. It's like you might fill that stadium, which might have been his goal. Like he might have just wanted, hey, we're not playing that great. We need something to bring energy to this game. Here you go. I mean, that he did it. We're talking about it.
I'm okay with not to hear from him again. You know what? Yeah. Go be FBS. Go your thing. You know what? I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
I don't. I like the fact that they've been the villain this year. Like that's been fun.
Yeah, he's
after this year, when they leave, like nobody's gonna miss them. They've been irrelevant in the football picture. I mean, it's like they've been. It's like they
had 1 year and they lost at the semifinal or the quarterfinal game at home. They gave up 1,000 yards to Incarnate Word.
Yeah, in the FCS is I mean, if you're a Big Sky team and you're good, chances are you're getting to at least the quarter.
Yep.
It's like that. So it's kind of.
And by the way, that year they struggled in their second round game, if I remember right. They barely won that one before they got beat. So
yeah, I mean it's okay. Let's dance.
Montana's going to hang half 100 on these guys. I believe that. I think they're going to blow them out.
It's funny when on social media I've been seeing a lot of Bobcats fans, and they're like, never root for the Grizzlies before, but guess I'm doing that on Friday night.
He has united Montana and Montana State fans
which is
together.
Like
what's
unbelievable.
That's because everybody wants them out. I mean, they're gone after next year. They're not in the Big Sky after this season. Just don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's a good game, and for some reason, if it does end up being a good game, or it's like that's going to build some. That it could be good, I guess. I don't know.
I feel for their coach. I feel for Brendan Merriam, who's a good guy.
Back that up.
Like he has to now, and his team have to go back up because the president doesn't have to play.
No,
it's the players, and they don't have that talent that Montana does. I mean, does this inspire them to get this?
I don't.
Maybe
think
I'll.
So.
We're going to be in Brookings on Friday night, and I'll be watching this. And if somehow this turns out and Sac State wins the game, then I'll be back here next week saying, "Well, apparently
it
worked."
It up, and it worked, and it gets eyeballs on your
exactly
school,
right.
and that's what Sacramento State needs right now. It's a weird way to go about it.
It's a really weird way to go.
We're living in weird times, I mean that people get attention that way, and they certainly do, and maybe that's his goal, but yeah, funny thing.
All right, before we go, you got a quick prediction of the game Saturday night in Brookings. How's that go?
If Chase Mason isn't healthy, like I know that, South Dakota State fans are saying that Luke Marble can step up there and still give it a game, but unless Chase Mason is like 100% heading in, I just don't see it for the Jacks. They're really good. I think the Jackrabbits are way better than anybody thought they'd be this year. I give the edge to the Bison. They're just playing really good football. It's hard to. But again, like they haven't won in Brookings in a while.
2019 was the
You
last
know,
time they
I mean,
won.
so
Yep.
it's like, but I think this is the Bison team to do it,
All right.
I guess. So I'm going to go Bison. I think it'll be close, though.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, it'll be close because it's I'll say 24-17.
Okay.
NDSU.
All right. Enjoy the game on Friday night. I'm sure you will on that one.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Grizz and Sac State. Drew Trafton joining us each and every Wednesday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. We'll head to Brookings and get a up-close look at the Jackrabbits. Tyler Merriam will join us to preview Dakota Marker game number 22 between the Bison and the Jacks. It's coming up. We come back. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, of course, how could you? We got a football game on Saturday, Bison Jackrabbits. The game is on ESPNU. Don't call me or our next guest because it's not on Midco or WDAY. We've got Bison Game Day live at 10 a.m. on WDAY, and then we're back after the game on WDAY Plus for Bison Post Game Live. It's always a treat to visit with our next guest. We do it every year to get ready for Dakota Marker week, and now he's crossed over to the TV side. He's a TV guy. Tyler Merriam, the voice of South Dakota State, TV voice of South Dakota State, I can say that as well, joins us this morning. It's great to see you, bud. How you been?
It's great to see you, too. I've been good, and it's fun to catch up, and it's fun to talk about this week. I mean, this is always one of those you circle on the calendar, and we've been waiting, and here we are.
All right, I know you don't want to talk about you, but for people that are watching on Midco, they're hearing you. They're seeing you. How did this all come about now?
Well, it started last year. You know, we were trying to figure out ways between us and Midco to deepen our partnership and things that we could do that would help each other out. And one of the things was, is there a way we can share talent on top of other things? We made a huge renovation to our arena in the last couple years, lots of production elements that we could be more involved in helping them behind the scenes too. And so did a few things last year, some women's basketball games, but we just talked over the spring and summer, and this was one that kind of made sense for everybody. And so we've tried it this year, and it's an ongoing trial run, I guess you would say, but so far I think it's gone really well, and it's fun to work some different muscles out, I guess you would say, Dom.
Are you enjoying it? It's different than radio, totally, obviously.
Oh, no question. And it is. It's a lot of fun. I have enjoyed it. And it's fun to hear from different people. You know, there's folks that will just watch and some turn down the TV and listen to the radio because they're used to us. But to be able to hear from some different people is kind of cool. And like I said, to be able to work even closer with our friends at Midco, who we're such longtime partners with, has been a lot of fun as well.
Well, it's awesome to hear you, man. You're doing a great job, and it's fun to see that. So can you spill the beans on us? Everyone wants to know. Chase Mason's playing. You're going to tell us that, right?
I'm sorry, who?
Exactly.
I didn't. What name? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about, Dom. I don't know anything. I do not have any beans to spill. I know that I hope he gets the opportunity to play.
Yes.
And I say this because we know the trajectories of the last few years, how much we've talked about Gronowski versus Miller. And there were so many storylines over the years. And here you had Peyton and Mason lurking in the shadows, and both got to have moments in this rivalry. But this was the culmination of all of their efforts, was they finally were going to get to have their moments this year. And they've had great years. And you hope that this is an opportunity to see those two play against one another. And I don't know what's going to happen. We probably won't know till Saturday night. But we'll wait and see. You hope that both guys are healthy and both guys get an opportunity to shine under a national spotlight.
Did you see anything on that drive, the opening drive, that was all we had? We showed the highlight of it, Tyler, when he runs off, and it looked obviously that something was wrong with him after the touchdown. Did you notice anything during the broadcast on that first drive?
Not until he scored the touchdown. Now, going back through it, a couple of plays before that, you can tell he is a little bit on the gimpy side. But, I mean, even the coaching staff didn't realize that there was something going on. I mean, think about it. If he's gimping, you're not going to call a designed run for him, and they did. So nobody really knew. And when he came off, he had a brief conversation with the athletic training staff. But, you know, to see a guy hobble a little bit and have a quick chat doesn't mean anything to you. No. And then Murray State gets the football, goes 3 and out. And then, again, the inside baseball stuff we're talking about. I'm checking off a read, and I'm looking at this, and all of a sudden here comes Marble out onto the field. And you look, and Chase Mason is sitting on an equipment suitcase, and he has his helmet off, and he's talking to the team chaplain, and you're going, okay, something's not right here. And that was kind of all we knew. And they taped up his foot, and he walked around and tried to be honest, it just seemed like he didn't know what to do with himself, because he's always either been the guy or he's been ready to go in on a moment's notice because of having play designs for him. So he really just looked like a fish out of water of not really knowing what to do. He was helpful with marble and he tried to be involved. It's just, I suppose it'd be like if you or I were thrown into the TV booth and told just to stand back there. We were like, I don't get a microphone? What do I do? And so that was the thing that I had noticed.
Luke Marble goes in and plays. Give us the backdrop on him, backstory of him coming to South Dakota State.
Young man from the northwestern Atlanta suburb of Smyrna, Georgia, and he's just a football nut. His dad worked for the Atlanta Falcons as a behind-the-scenes guy, and so was around football a lot, loves the game, and was a 3-year starter in high school. In fact, they called him Luke the Magician in high school because of the success he had, and got on the radar of Northern Illinois because they recruit the Atlanta area and the South pretty heavily. Eric Eidsness was the offensive coordinator at Northern Illinois last year, and so he redshirted at Northern Illinois with Eidsness. Then when Eidsness made the transition here to SDSU to return and be a Jackrabbit offensive coordinator after the spring, Marble had some opportunities, and he was just looking at, okay, you got proven guys here. There's a guy that's probably going to start for 3 more years at Northern Illinois. He had some other FBS offers, but I think he saw it as, okay, Mason has 1 year, maybe 2. I've got an opportunity to go and build myself up there. And knowing, of course, Eric Eidsness and some of the staff, he took the opportunity to come to SDSU, and here he is.
I got to ask about Julius Loffridge. For a guy that came from Fordham, he's become SDSU's main horse, obviously with a tragic passing of Nate White. How did that change everything with how they were going to use Loffridge going into the season?
Well, I think they viewed it similarly to, and I don't want to make direct comparisons, but when you had Davis and Johnson or Strong and Davis, both guys were getting a lot of reps. And one might get a few more carries, but both were going to be heavily involved. And I think that was kind of the anticipation, was White could be more of a home run hitter, where in the case of Loffridge, he would be more of that physical guy who, yes, he's fast, but he's not 0 to 60 in a heartbeat. That's not Loffridge's thing. He's a very patient runner and very effective. And so you kind of take that home run hitter away, but Loffridge loves the big moment and he wants the ball. You know, some guys can tire out some. He's fine carrying it 20, 25 times. The Jacks have tried to limit how many times he's had to carry the football because we know the wear and tear of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but he loves it. He's a great kid. He's very positive, and really, other than when he got depantsed at Montana State and had to come out of the game for that reason, he wants to stay on and take every snap.
Tim Polisic said yesterday, Tyler, that the Jack receivers are better than they were last year. That's obvious with Griffin Wilde in there, and I think some people's eyebrows raised during the press conference yesterday. What do you make of that comment?
I think they're deeper. I think they certainly are deeper. Wilde is exceptional, obviously. Lofted Ogroski, before he got hurt, was off to a tremendous start, was one of the top receivers statistically in the FCS. He and Lance had put up unbelievable numbers. Then Lance has kept going, where Ogroski missed the first 2 conference games and then was in for, as Eric Eidsness put it, on a low pitch count at Murray State just to get him back into the flow conditioning-wise and whatever. But to have Bullock, a transfer from Nebraska who's really stepped up, Jack Smith, somebody who set countless high school records in Sioux Falls as a wide receiver. He's really stepped in where, because Ogroski was out, somebody needed to take those reps, and then Goring's made some big catches over the years too. So I think it was a little more top-heavy last year. I think that receiving core is deeper, and you haven't even gotten into a case of an Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, who also had a lot of reps at a place like Nebraska too, and has seemingly been playing college football for a decade and a half. And so there's definitely a deep wide receiver room there. So I can understand where Coach Polisic comes from.
All right, give us the lowdown. The Jack defense has been great. I don't know if that was a surprise considering at least who they lost in the portal and who went to Washington State with Jimmy Rogers. What stood out to you on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I think first off, the defensive line's been really good, and that's even after losing Reese Kirschenman to an injury, and he might have been the best one the first couple of weeks, honestly, Dom. But Kobe Claiborne's really, really good, and they've experimented more and more with using him on the outside now with Kirschenman going down, where they had a couple of guys hurt on the interior earlier in the year. Now that those guys are back and Kirschenman's out, they've been moving Claiborne more to the end, and he's effective in a variety of roles. They're good up front, the linebackers. Gee, is this a shock? NDSU, SDSU, and we're talking about good linebackers in this game. I mean, stop me. But the linebacking core is really talented, and Ullman and McShane and Van Tol, they've been all over the field, and the secondary continues to come along. That was probably the youngest group of the three, and they've added a couple of transfers and some great athletes, and they're just continuing to find their way. And each week you see, well, maybe this guy will start, or maybe this guy will play more. So it continues to be just a unique combination there. But if this team was going to be good, they were going to have to be good on defense. And again, just like with Eidsness, you're bringing back Brian Bergstrom, who was a former defensive coordinator at SDSU, had been a Division II head coach, and they have meshed really, really well. And you look, in 3 of the 7 games, they've allowed 1 score on defense. And at Montana State, in regulation, the defense gave up 10 points on the road against the number 2 team in the country at the time. So that defense has played very well. But I think they'll also be tested as much as they have all year on Saturday also.
I'm interested to get your thoughts on the fan base, knowing on the outside people think, the Jacks aren't going to be very good with who they lost. I guess they're in Brookings. Are people surprised at the amount of success that they've had with Dan Jackson in year 1?
So I think it's like anything, Dom. I think had you asked the Jackrabbit fans back around Christmas time when they were searching for a head coach, or if you asked them back in the spring, hey, you'll be 7-0, number 2 in the country, hosting NDSU on national TV, they would have said, oh, absolutely, sign me up. Today they'd go, oh, well, this... if Chase can't play, and then you got this, and what about that? And they're not quite, it's like anything, right? Is that you're searching for perfection. And so I think if you really allow yourself to stop and think of how few starters came back to this team between graduation and the portal, a whole new coaching staff, not a majority of a staff. I mean, literally, Dan Jackson arrived with 2 athletic trainers. That was who remained from the previous year. And so to build a whole new staff, to figure out the roster, to be at 7-0 right now and number 2 in the country, I mean, it's one of the more impressive things when you really stop and think about it. And I know we're in a constantly evolving state of college football, but that's pretty darn impressive.
It's been a while since the Bison and Jacks played a night game in Brookings. I think 2009. You were there, obviously, last year for the Jacks Coyotes game under the lights. What are you going to expect? How fevered a crowd is this going to be on Saturday night?
So I've been asked that a lot, and I think back to 2 things, Dom. Number 1, 3 years ago, SDSU hosted Montana State. Both were in the top 5 in the country. That was a heavily hyped game around here. The students were tremendous. They forced 9 false starts of Montana State that day, and arguably, that's the reason the Jacks win the game, because Montana State moved back a couple times in the red zone, settled for field goals, and the Jacks end up winning that game. I think back to that. I also think back to last year's game in Fargo, and NDSU doesn't play a lot of night games, as you well know, and all the talk coming out of that from Matt Larson and the Bison staff was there was just a different energy about the game and it being at night that added a little more to it, and it was a feverish pitch on that particular Saturday night. So I think similar situation there, and thinking back to Montana State, it's ripe for a raucous environment, and I think it'll be a lot of decibel levels will be established. I think it'll be a lot of fun in the building on Saturday night.
Can't wait for it, bud. It's great to see you. I'll see you on Saturday. Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes this morning, okay?
Hey, appreciate it as always. Can't wait to see you and the crew, and always good to swap notes with a TV veteran such as yourself now.
The TV voice of South Dakota State joining us. Tyler Merriam, thanks, bud. We'll see you on Saturday, all right?
See you, Dom. Take care.
There he goes. Tyler Merriam join us. Looking forward to that. Jacks and the Bison on Saturday night, 7 o'clock, ESPNU. Looks like the weather's not going to be a factor. It's going to be a beautiful night. Let's go. Getting ready for what's going to be a dynamite football game. Much more on that coming up in Bison Media Zone with Kolpak and I in about 40 minutes coming up here on WDAY Extra. We'll break. Got a couple emails to get to. We'll wrap up our first hour. Carson Yaggie going to join us, Breckenridge head football coach, at the top of our second hour as we roll on a Wednesday morning. We're back right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Tyler for giving us a few minutes there. Good stuff to get us ready for Jacks, Bison. More coverage on that throughout the week as we head towards heading down to Brookings on Friday, late Friday afternoon. Get ready for the game on Saturday night. Let's get a couple emails in here before we wrap up the first hour of the show. Going back to the Vikes. Dom, any thoughts about why Wentz's decision-making and fundamentals are so poor at this point in his career? Maybe a question for Randy Hedberg. I know I've talked to Randy about this, both on and off the record. I would say, because that was not the case at North Dakota State. I think Carson saw in his first 2 years his ability to move out of the pocket, his ability to make plays with his legs, his ability to do that and have success with it, that it was not necessarily invulnerable, but he could do that. And then the knee injury happened. And then the back injury happened. And then the concussion happened. And when he still tried to do it, the level of success was not there. And hasn't been there, frankly, since the ACL tear, in my opinion, in December of 2017. The decision made, I think he still thinks he can get out of the pocket, make a play down the field with his arm or with his legs. And you saw that at varying success rates on Sunday against the Eagles, where he rolled out of the pocket, airmail one down the field, intercepted in the first half. Then in the fourth quarter, out of the pocket, he made a couple of nice runs with his legs. It just, that, I still think he thinks he's that guy of 10 years ago, and he's not. And he's just not. And the Vikings needed to be what he was that first game against the Bengals. That first game against Cincinnati, he was there. He made quick reads, made the plays, got the ball to the receivers, and let them go make plays. And granted, his offensive line has been a shambles since that game. Ryan Kelly isn't out there anymore. Darrisaw still on a pitch count. Brandel's now playing center. Donovan Jackson hasn't played. Looks like he's going to be back. There's just you got to have your old. I know Brian O'Neill might be out there starting right tackle. I mean, there is a whole mix of things there, but that's what O'Connell was asking Carson to do. What you saw in that win over Cincinnati, and then it started to get a little more expansive in the Steelers game. And granted, I think both of his interceptions against the Steelers, the ball was tipped. The Browns had moments of, oh boy, hang on to your butts. And then obviously what happened on Sunday with Philly was the full recent Wentz experience. That's just me, my 2 cents on answering that. One other here before we go to break. Dom, what did you make? This was highly controversial. Dom, what did you think of NBC using the AI version of their voice to bring us into the game last night? If you missed this, NBC is using the late Jim Fagan's voice. Guy died in 2017. He's the guy who goes, "Welcome to the NBA on NBC." That who did it for 12 years when they had the contract. He died in 2017, but they got permission from the family to recreate his voice in AI. So last night when the game started, you heard him say, "Welcome to the NBA on NBC. It's the Houston Rockets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder." Just like we used to be with, it's the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Chicago Bulls from Chicago Stadium. It's different. It's kind of weird. I know the story. I don't know if anybody else does. They say, "Oh, that's the guy who does the voice." But the guy's been dead for 8 years. It's the way we're going. I don't know how I'd feel about it when I'm gone and somebody wants to use my voice. I don't think that will happen, but if it did, be a little weird. But that's part of the nostalgia. They wanted the John Tesh song, and they wanted that voice to welcome people on NBA basketball on NBC. It's different. I'll say that. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. We'll visit with Breckenridge head football coach Carson Yaggie. The Cowboys are still unbeaten. We'll chat with him after their big win last night and out of the semifinal round in their section tournament. That's coming up. We come back.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll on this Wednesday morning. Getting by some Media Zone with Jeff Kolpak and myself coming up in a half hour to get ready for the Bison and the Jackrabbits. As we mentioned, that's not the only football happening around the area. We are in the midst now of the Minnesota high school football playoffs. Opening round was last night, which was a chilly and windy night for plenty around the area. Our next guest, his team is moving on to the 6A semifinals. They got a date with OTC, the Bulldogs, coming up in Breckenridge on Saturday. Cowboys head football coach Carson Yaggie joins us on this Wednesday morning. As a former Bison, what does Jackrabbit Week mean to you?
You know what? It was always a little bit more focus of practice. Everyone was always practicing a little bit harder and going a little bit more. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just what do you want to say? Everything was cranked up to a whole new level. So,
especially where you live, there are Jackrabbit fans down there, right? I mean, this has a little bit extra meaning where you're located, right?
No, you go 20 miles south and you're in the South Dakota border. And I mean, I used to work down in Rossville, South Dakota, and they are about as diehard Jackrabbits as you can get. Then you get to Fairmont, North Dakota, and here they are, a co-op for a school, and they're all cheering for different colleges for as passionate as everyone is.
All right, I've asked other players this. How heavy is it? I can't pick it up. I'm assuming you have. How heavy is the marker?
It's pretty heavy. I mean, I couldn't give you a guess on how what the overall weight is, but I mean, it's heavier than you think. It is heavy. They didn't go any fake stone with that.
For people that don't know, give us the backstory when the Bison were interested, when they came around saying, hey, we think you could play college football with us.
I was a junior in high school, or no, it was right after my junior season. We went up to SDSU team camp that year and kind of started there. And then after the year, they kind of came and started talking to us a little bit. What do you think? And it was just a dream thing. I knew. I mean, I'm an agriculture kid, wanted to stay in agriculture, and hey, get the opportunity to go to a school that's top ag school in the country and play football. And I was able to meet lifelong best friends of mine throughout my class, and it was just a great experience.
Well, and then the coaching bug, was that there, or when did you catch that?
There was after my second year, Coach Kleiman left, but then the 3 years there was 3 different receivers coaches right away. Because the first year was Coach Austin, the second year was Coach Ray, and then the third year was Coach Pauly. And
yep.
It was interesting, but you were able to hear just so many different perspectives on football with 3 really, really smart coaches. So it was kind of cool because it was like, I mean, you'd sit in a meeting and you'd hear 3 different ways to do things, and all 3 of them went on. I mean, Coach Ray went to Kansas State. Coach Pauly's at Iowa State right now. Coach Austin went to the Patriots. So I was like, you got to hear 3 really smart guys talk about football. It's like, that's a pretty good experience.
And so that was so you had it there to say, this is what I want to do?
Say that again?
Is that when you caught the bug to say, okay, this is where I'd like to do this now?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I've always really liked the schematics of football and just kind of the game planning side of it, and what do you want to say, the chess pieces that go with the offensive side of calling a game. And I mean, that's what really kind of opened my eyes to, hey, all right, first year you're kind of just learning the playbook. Then after that, it was like, oh, so this is why you're doing this. This is why you want to go into this play, or hey, you see this type of look. Well, how do you want to attack it? And I was just kind of really excited. I mean, I didn't ever play a whole lot, so it was kind of just, hey, let's learn football. So I loved it.
And then the opportunity, Carson, to coach in your hometown. How did that all come about, and describe that opportunity?
You know, Coach Fredrickson was gracious enough to, when I reached out to him the first time, and hey, let me come on staff. And I mean, when I started doing it, I started enjoying it so much more than what I could ever possibly imagine. And working with these kids every day, it's just an absolute blast. And for me too, it means so much more being from Breckenridge and coaching the town, because now there's such a sense of pride and community. And you know what? Not only, hey, do I want to win because we're really competitive, you want to win in everything you do, but I want Breckenridge to be looked upon as one of the top teams, as one of the most respected teams, because this is the place that I grew up. This is the place that I love, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Breck in people's eyes is one of those great places, and it's a respected program. It's a place where you have quality players, quality kids, because that's what I think we have in this community. And I mean, I look at our family or our team right now, and it's Breck families. There's a lot of kids who I mean, they're third generation. Hey, their dad played for the Cowboys. Their grandpa played for the Cowboys, and there's just that extra sense of pride with it. And it just makes it so fun when you have such good families to go with it that are so supportive. And I mean, I think we got the best support system in the state of Minnesota here in Brecken. We're pretty lucky.
Is Freddie still hanging around? Does he give you some pointers?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's great. He is always willing to reach out or to answer and help with anything I possibly can ask him, and I probably ask him a heck of a lot more than what he thought I would. So no, he's unbelievable to me. He's always gone out of his way, and he's just right there and takes care of a lot of the backside AD stuff that I don't work for the school, so he's kind of my saving grace when it comes to that.
We were talking off air, to have this kind of season, you're 9-0, you're in the section semifinals. Was this expected? Did you think you had a chance to be this kind of good this year?
You know, I think we thought we had a pretty decent chance to be a good team. We needed quite a few pieces to click for us to feel like we had a chance to take it to a next level and be a really good team. But I mean, our senior class did a phenomenal job all offseason of just, we're going to get after it. And then they drug the juniors along with it. Then the sophomores and freshmen kind of followed suit because that's what everyone else is doing. And I mean, we're very fortunate to have kids who have played a lot of football. And when you've played a lot of football early on, you're able to just get a jump start on the season. I mean, from day one when we went to Bemidji camp, we didn't have a whole lot of practices, but these kids just know the game. They understand what they're doing. They understand the rules from the 2 years prior where a lot of them were starting. And then also we have hey, we're not sure what to do on this point. Let's just give the ball to David Erlinson and see what he can do. I mean, he's been unbelievable. You're just kind of seeing kids step up. Cooper Roberts on the outside for us has been an absolute weapon for us to put the ball up in the air too. And I mean, up front, we're starting 4 seniors and a junior that all have kind of started the year before. So whatever look teams throw at them, they've probably seen it a time or two before.
To have a guy like Erlinson to just basically say, hey, you can take over games. What kind of luxury is that to have?
It's kind of funny because so on the year he had 1,280 rush yards, and he was averaging 15.6 yards a carry. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. It was absolutely ridiculous. To where it was times to where it was like he'd get tackled, 7-8 yards, and he'd be like, God, what happened there? What went wrong? But I mean, he's just unbelievable. There was so much. Okay, hey, bad play call. He gets tackled he gets wrapped up 2 yards at past the line of scrimmage. Then all of a sudden he breaks that tackle, and now it's 45 yards later, and we're down the field. And it's like, how does he do this? I mean, he whatever my terrible play calls are, I am very fortunate to where he just makes it right. And then to our quarterback, Riley Kappas, he's a junior and kind of taken over as a starting quarterback this year. He's doing the exact same thing for us in the pass game of when I put him in a bad spot, he just finds a way. I mean, he's completed, 67, 70% of his passes and only 1 interception on the year in game 1. And I mean, they're just playing football at such a high level right now, and they're having fun doing it. It's just fun to see.
You're in the same round. This time last year, you guys lost. How big a deal is that for your returner saying, okay, we're in the same spot on your home field that we want to go one step further, have a chance to play for the section championship?
I think it just means a little bit more that they're playing on their home field. It's your last game that you have on your home stadium as a senior. And I mean, this group of kids set out with some pretty big goals, and this is just another step along the way. It's the same process. It's the same. Hey, we got to play with the intensity that we've played with the 9 previous games, and let's just line up and play football.
That game last year, is that still sticking some people's craw, yourself included?
It does. It does. It's been 2 years in a row now to where we've had a home playoff game on a Saturday, and we've kind of stubbed our toe. And I mean, last year we lost to a very, very good Parker's Prairie team who went on and had a lot of success in the section championship and the state tournament. So it was, we kind of just got to buckle down the hatches and let's go and take care of business.
I know for you growing up, you're playing opponents you're probably not used to. People in the Heart of Lakes, you're playing on Barnesville, Hawley, Fraser. You're not playing those teams. How different has that been for you as well to adjust to, that you're playing different teams because you're in a different class, a different section?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it is different when you're not playing those schools now. I think we'd love to play those schools, and I know for basketball how much those rivalries can still mean for the kids. I mean, but for football, it's just tough to, hey, how do you beat on these kids for 8 games and then expect them to go play in the playoffs? And we saw it a couple of years ago to where we were playing a lot of those teams and we ended up 5-3, and all of a sudden, well, we come down and play 1A playoffs, and because we didn't play any of these teams, we end up as the 5 seed in our section, and we were fortunate enough to go win 3 games and win the section tournament. But I mean, it's kind of with the QRF, you have to do it. Because I mean, if you play what did you want to say? Sorry, not to get into a QRF rant.
It's fine. It's fine.
It values wins more than it values quality opponents.
Correct.
So
No.
it's what do you do? But I mean, also on the same thing, we're playing OTC on Saturday, and I think about every Breckenridge team in the past 45 years has ran into OTC at some point in the playoffs. And I mean, I know I did. I know Jordan Christensen's on my staff. I know he did. Talking to these kids' parents, I know their parents ran into OTC in the playoffs. So you know what? You don't have your playoff or your typical rivalry of Breck, Barnesville, Hawley, DGF, but I mean, Ottertail Central is probably just as much up there of a rival of Breck football as anyone else.
Give me a little. You played OTC earlier this season. How much you watch that tape? Can you use that to get ready for the game on Saturday?
You know, I think it's a really good film of how they're going to try to attack us offensively, or what they're going to try to do offensively. You know, defensively, I think they're going to throw quite a few different looks at us and make our kids make adjustments and not give us kind of the same thing that they gave us in the first game. And I mean, it's a reminder, but really, hey, it's good film to watch, but that game means nothing now. And we were fortunate to kind of make a couple plays early on and kind of deflate their sails. But I mean, we know they're going to come ready to go. Breck and OTC have had quite a history of playing each other twice in the season. And that first matchup never really seemed to matter a whole lot when it came to the second one.
Knowing this is the game to get you to the Dome, you have the big speech. Do you need it? No, the guys know what's at stake. Do you need the big rah-rah speech for the game on Saturday?
This group of seniors is the least don't talk to us before the game, coach. We understand what we're going to go do. Say 2 words, tell us what the first play is, and let's go play football. Because they love football. They love the mentality of football, and they just want to get out there and go. It's like, how do we shorten warm-ups from, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock to, let's just go out there at 5:45 and kick the ball off.
You're a Minnesota kid. Last night, no one seen what the weather was going to be like. Describe that with the wind and it comes with the territory, a cold night in late in October. How did you guys handle that last night?
It was good. We got through it. What do you want to say? In Minnesota football, you build your offense around, if you want to be successful in the playoffs, you got to be able to run the ball. And I mean, last night was the perfect picture of that when it's the first quarter and we're against the wind right now. Hey, it'd be a great time to take a shot, but guys, the ball is going to travel 20 yards in there before it gets pushed backwards 10. So it was good. The kids battled through it, and I mean, you get playing football and the cold doesn't matter a whole lot. But for the coach and staff, I got a little cold. I'll tell you that.
Last thing before I let you go, and I really appreciate you doing this morning. How much fun are you having doing this, knowing you did this not that long ago as a player, now as a coach trying to get this team to the state tournament?
I think it just adds a little bit extra to it. I mean, you don't want to ever say you're living through the players or anything, but you just have a fresher experience of how much high school football meant to you, how much playing for Breckenridge meant to myself. And I want to go out, and Chad Fredrickson did an unbelievable job of giving every kid in Breckenridge who came through the program just a phenomenal Cowboy football experience. And I mean, that's exactly what we want to do for these kids, because that's what this place is. I mean, Breckenridge football to us is pretty dang special, and we want to make sure that it stays that way and we only move it forward.
This was great, bud. I got a lot of ties in Breck, so good luck on Saturday. Hopefully see you guys up at the Dome next week, okay?
Hey, thank you very much for having me on.
Appreciate the time. There he goes, Carson Yaggie, Breckenridge head football coach. The Cowboys have OTC coming up on Saturday in Breck. The winner of that will move on and play for the 6A championship next Friday at the Fargo Dome. And this is your first heads up that, once again, we're going to have some of those Minnesota Section Championship games for you next Thursday and next Friday. We'll have one game next Thursday, and then the 5 games that are coming up a week from Friday. On Halloween, we will have all of those games for you. Certainly streaming, I believe, on WDAY2, ? I got to get that clarified. But we will have the games, and it's going to be a dynamite day of football. I've had the pleasure of calling those games, covered them forever. Heck, when Barnesville and Hawley would play every year in the 8AA final, it'd be that 8 o'clock game on a Friday night, and you treated it as some of the best games possible. That's the lineup of games. We've got the 5A championship, 6A, 6AA, 8AA, 8 AAA are the games we're going to have a week from Friday at the Dome. And Breckenridge, with a win, will very much be in the mix if they're able to do that against OTC. We appreciate Carson giving us a few minutes there. We'll break. We come back. Again, it's a shortened show because we got Bison Media Zone today. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. We've got the Wolves opener tonight. Is Ant going to play? We'll preview that and a bunch more as we get out of here right after this. All right, wrapping things up here. Shortened show tomorrow. We are packed tomorrow. Hunter Pinky will join us for his usual Thursday appearance. Dave Richmond will join us for his season debut. Dave's going to do Tuesdays with us. We've done Wednesdays in the past couple of years, but they practice during the showtime. Apparently doesn't want to interrupt that. So he'll do Tuesdays with us starting next week. But tomorrow he'll be on, obviously, for Bison Dragons. Also, Jason Kemp will join us tomorrow, MSUM men's basketball coach. So we got a packed show on tap for tomorrow to get you ready for the Bison Dragon men's basketball game tomorrow night at the Shack. Also, it's Viking game day tomorrow. So no shortage of things we'll have on the plate tomorrow. So looking forward to that. I was just reading Sam Herder put out a column today on the implications of who wins the game Saturday between the Bison and the Jacks, what it means playoff-wise. I'll just read this here real quick. If NDSU wins out after a loss at SDSU, it'd be 11-1 with around 4 to 5 ranked wins and a projected year-end strength of schedule ranked 22 in the FCS. The Bison would have an argument for the number 2 seed, especially if the loss at SDSU is a close one. But Tarleton State and Montana State could be in the top 2 mix as well. Tarleton could finish 12-0 with around 2 to 3 ranked wins, an FBS win over a solid Army team, and a projected year-end strength of schedule ranked number 29. You got Montana could finish 12-0, and obviously the Grizz have their biggie with Sac State. They have the game at home with Montana State this season. An 11-1 NDSU team versus a 12-0 Tarleton State team and a 12-0 Montana State, or a 10-1 versus the FCS Montana State team would be quite the ball of yarn for the playoff committee to sort out for the number 2 seed if SDSU wins out to go 12-0. UND could also hand South Dakota State a loss, where an 11-1 SDSU team wouldn't have a guarantee of a top 2 seed. If the Bison trip up and lose a second game to finish, they'd be 10-2. There'd be much more to sort out on whether NDSU will receive a top 8 seed and first-round bye. It's exactly what I was talking about with Kolpak on Monday's show. Sam and I see this clearly. Again, and we had the email yesterday of stop counting wins. That's not how it works. That if you're 10-2 and you lose both those games, that they're gonna punish the Bison on that. I can't imagine that they wouldn't. I see more, and I said this and I'll say it again. I see a scenario unfolding exactly like we had last year, where the Bison beat the Jacks beat the Coyotes beat the Bison, and we had a 3-way tie atop the league. I could see that exact same thing unfolding here over the next 3 to 4 weeks. That if the Jacks beat South Dakota State, right, then take that, then the Jacks beat UND, and then UND beats NDSU. Then here you go. Then good luck sorting that out, playoff committee. I don't know what you do on that. Head-to-head has to matter. That's what we talked about last year. That's why the Bison got the 2 and the Jacks got the 3 seed. And the Coyotes had the 1 less game. And then that's why finishing that game for NDSU on Saturday was so huge. They had to finish that, or else that would have not that would have totally messed up anything playoff related if that was a no contest for that game at Indiana State. Real quick before we get to what to watch. For you soccer nuts out there, we're closing in. The World Cup is officially now 8 months out from the World Cup starting here in the U.S. in June. Fox announced today its television coverage, which is unprecedented, is what Fox says, and they always go big. as we talked about earlier on. Fox says they'll feature an unprecedented 69 matches live on Fox, the most ever in network television history. So they're saying, hey, we're going to do it big. We're going to put it on Big Fox. They're going to have 35 matches on FS1, 69, as I mentioned, on Fox. That's more than doubles the tournament matches in 2022 and accounts for approximately 2/3 of the matches on broadcast TV, up from 53% in 2022. Now, there are more matches because, remember, they expanded the field to, I think it's 48 teams that are in the World Cup this summer. But in the United States, obviously hosting with Canada and Mexico. So they're going to take advantage of, obviously, having things in the Eastern time zone and, frankly, in the Western time zone to get more viewers on board. Smart. Curious to see how it plays out. And especially curious to see if the Americans are any good, knowing full well the last World Cup they played in December during football season, which who watched it? You know, the time before that was in Russia. The Americans weren't even in it. This is a big-time gamble for Fox that they're hoping will pay off. All right, before we get out of here, let's do some What to Watch. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. All right, here we go. Game 1 tonight. Timberwolves in action against the Blazers. Anthony Edwards is listed as questionable with back spasms. Come on, we're not doing this to start the year. Ants playing tonight, 9 o'clock, late night tonight in Portland on FanDuel Sports North. The Wild are in action as well as they take on the Devils. That's at 6 o'clock on the same channel, so you got a little back-to-back there of the Wild and the Wolves tonight. And yes, we've got more CUSA football tonight. We showed you the Western Kentucky La Tech finish. Mo State's going for a 4th win tonight against New Mexico State. That's at 8 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. We got to roll. Our thanks to Drew Trafton, to Tyler Merriam, and Carson Yaggie. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. The Bison Media Zone is coming up in just a few minutes. We'll see everybody back here tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.